At best, gun buyback programs are a dog and pony show. At worst, they're a complete scam. And today, I have another example to prove it. You ever heard the phrase, "you can't make the shit up"? Well, let me introduce you to a story where a gun turned in at a Chicago police gun buyback program somehow found its way back onto the streets, into the hands of a teenager.
Again, in your opinion, you think it was lost in, the gun was lost at the station?
Yes.
Okay. And when you found it, or when you discovered the error, who did you tell?
I told everyone in the office. I asked, "Where's the Glock?"
That's right. A Glock that was supposed to be taken off the streets through a gun buyback program was lost inside of a police station. And just like magic, poof! A year later, it shows up in the hands of a 16-year-old kid. Not in evidence, not destroyed, but back in rotation on the streets.
Now at the center of a bigger story on how guns that are supposed to be taken off the streets are winding up being used in crime.
Let's start at the very beginning. What case led you to discover that there was an issue with the buyback program?
Well, we learned that in 2023, after a buyback at St. Sabina, one of the guns was transported over to the district, all the guns. And when that gun was on a desk and it was surrounded by police officers were looking at it and talking about how good this Glock looked. And then the Glock disappeared.
You really can't make this up. I've been saying this for over 10 years now. I've done videos on gun buyback programs being useless PR stunts for the longest. And now we got proof they're not just useless, they're fucking dangerous. So let's break this down. The Glock gets turned in, and probably by someone thinking they're doing a good deed, or maybe they just wanted that gift card. Either way, it's now supposed to be off the streets. Instead, it disappears inside of a police department. And where does it end up? On the streets. And I quote, "The Glock 19 was part of a haul of about 40 firearms collected at a gun buyback event. It disappeared from the 11th District Station in January 2023. 12 months later, it was found in the possession of a 16-year-old boy who had fled from a car crash." So let me get this straight. The city of Chicago is suing Glock for violence on the streets, while Glocks handed over to Chicago PD during a buyback are showing up in criminal hands.
We're learning more about the lawsuit the city of Chicago filed against gunmaker Glock.
The suit alleges that pistols can easily be turned into machine guns.
Again, like you really can't make this up. So you're suing Glock because criminals are illegally modifying their guns with switches while you're accidentally, or maybe not so accidentally, arming these same criminals from your own damn gun buybacks. Dude, pick a struggle, Chicago. Let's just call this what it is. These programs are designed to look good, to feel good. It's PR with the side of Chili's gift cards. Lil Rah-Rah, who just caught 3 bodies, is not pulling up to the precinct and turning in his murder weapon for a $50 Target voucher. The only people showing up to these buybacks are, 1, people turning in broken or rusty guns that nobody wants that they found in grandpa's attic, criminals turning in decoy guns just to get the gift cards, and occasionally someone with a high-end antique gun who doesn't know its value only for it to disappear.
Case that we wrote about that happened originally in 2007. Where a Cook County judge turned over a gun to a Chicago gun buyback. And then 5 years later, it turns up on the streets of a fatal police shooting in Cicero.
So this isn't new. In fact, it's happened before, but instead of shutting down these buyback programs or fundamentally reworking them, actually, no, just shut them the fuck down. They just keep doing them. Why? Because it looks good. But if you think nobody on the inside is capitalizing on this, you're playing dumb. At best, a cop sees a Glock come in and goes, "Man, I'd love to take that home." At worst, that gun goes out the back door and into the hands of a 16-year-old running from a crime scene. But don't worry, CPD acknowledged there was a problem.
They started to make changes, meaning are they acknowledging that some safety measures need to be put in place, or better safety measures?
CPD did acknowledge to us that this was a problem, that this was bad. They issued a statement where they kind of talked about it. But what they failed to do was tell us how they plan to improve the process.
Mm-hmm.
Translation, they're not going to do shit. Meanwhile, they continue to paint these buybacks as the solution to gun violence. But Even the guy from the Illinois Answers Project said this.
There's a general consensus that they don't really prevent violent crime. They're useful in engaging communities and bringing people out to police stations to turn over their weapons. But in terms of getting these guns that, are a big driver of violence in Chicago, like the pistols that are fitted with the automatic switches, those kinds of guns aren't coming into these buybacks. The guns that cops are usually getting are older guns, inoperable guns, and not the kind of weapons that are just seen that are just, driving these spikes in violence in Chicago.
So let me say it again. This is a scam. It's a feel-good lie, a con job dressed in a community safety costume. And the real kicker, the very Glock that was supposed to be off the streets through this back door ended up back on the streets, in the hands of a minor at that. The program that's supposed to decrease gun violence helped enable it. So maybe instead of blaming Glock for gun violence and wasting taxpayer money on performative lawsuits and broken buyback programs, how about focusing on prosecuting criminals who are already breaking the law? I'm talking about the ones with the switches and all the other crap that y'all claim that they're not supposed to have, but they still seemingly do in spades, while the rest of us here who actually obey the goddamn laws don't have any of these things. But yet we still have to deal with these little motherfuckers out in the streets who do have them, and we don't have the necessary equipment to fight back and deal with it. So as far as I'm concerned, fuck these buyback programs. How about actually just arresting these people who are doing the crime and keeping them in jail? But no, that would be real work and real accountability. And that doesn't get you as many headlines. Until then, maybe we should just rename these things. Gun buyback program? Nah, we should rename them to like criminal gun restocking event. So with that said, I want to talk about my favorite in-ear wireless Bluetooth hearing protection, the AKT1 Blackout. I love these hearing protection. They're my absolute favorite. I've been intimately close with the development of these things, and I love them because they basically taken the old school hearing protection and just brought them into the modern era in a way that I absolutely love. I can listen to my music when I'm out on the gun range shooting. I can take phone calls. I can hear instructions when I'm on the range or when I'm at a course, and all I have to do is nothing because it's all active. Now, unless I just want to turn the volume up or turn it down, just tap, 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 tap. It's easy. I love them. They stay in your ear. They fit flush. These are beautiful while still protecting your hearing. You don't understand. You interact and interface with these things so much while you're shooting. Ear protection is so important, and you're wearing them for so long when you're out there. So you want something that's fun. You want something that works. You want something that becomes a part of your life and not just kind of something you have to deal with. And that's where the AKT1 Blackouts come in. I love these things. I'm gonna leave a link in the description section so you can check them out. And of course, if you're wondering where I got this awesome hat, it's in the link in the description section too. And my favorite hat on shop.mrcolionnoir.com is the AK hat. I love this thing, which is weird because I should just technically be wearing it. Yeah, I don't know why that happened the way it did, but still, nonetheless, this is one of my favorite hats on the website. So hit the link in the description section and check it out. One thing's for certain and two things are for sure. Politicians and tech giants don't want gun content to be recommended to you. And we're all fighting this culture war together. Now you can help do your part by liking, commenting, subscribing to the channel, but most importantly, sharing this video with at least one person. Together we can stop the suppression of our 2A rights. And don't forget to click the link in the description section of this video for the products that I mentioned in this video.